This is Robert Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're here at the LD Micro Main Event 2015 in Bel Air, California. With me right now is Chris Rowland from Medigus. The symbol is MDGS. Chris, welcome to SNNLive.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for coming on the program. So, for our audience that may not know the story of Medigus, let's get an overview of the company.
Terrific. Well, thank you. Medigus is an Israeli-based company that has developed a very clever endoscopic meaning transoral, so through the mouth, application to treat gastroesophageal reflux disease or acid indigestion. So everybody's heard of the purple pill, the PPI, Prilosec, those kind of things. There literally are millions of Americans every year that take that, but over a long period of time, that disease just gets worse. It gets to the point where patients or people taking the PPI can't even lay down in bed at night and sleep. They have to put their bed up on blocks, or they have to stop eating after 5 o'clock. And it's really for those patients that need a surgical fix for that mechanical failure.
Okay, so let's talk about the device a little bit. Tell me, how does it work? What's the technology behind it?
And this is the exciting part. It was actually developed in Israel, and I've been doing this for about 25 years. When I saw what they had developed, I was like, oh my God, these people have really created something special. So again, it's transoral, or what we call natural orifice surgery. So going through the mouth into the stomach. And all it simply does, it creates a staple line or a small plication to recreate this gastric valve that keeps the stomach contents from coming up into the esophagus. So again, it goes through the mouth, into the esophagus, into the stomach, and then puts a very simple staple to create this valve, again, to keep everything from coming back up into the esophagus.
So I'm curious about the patient population. How many people are affected with this disorder?
Yeah, and that's a great question. The patient population just continues to grow. In America right now, about 80 million people are taking a PPI of some sort, and that's great. They should continue to do that. Out of those 80 million, there's probably about 20 million that would suffer what we call chronic or severe reflux. And these are patients that would have an event where stomach contents would come up their esophagus and out of their mouth. I know it's gross, but this happens all the time. And these are the patients that really need something different. So I would say it's anywhere between 8 and 10 million of these patients would require a surgical fix because it's a mechanical failure. That's the problem. And those are the patients that we really want to treat and help because it's significant quality of life impact.
With regard to the device again, I'm curious about where the procedure is performed. Is it an outpatient program? How does that work?
Right, and that's critical too because right now a surgical procedure is an inpatient procedure where the patient's in the hospital for 2 or 3 days. Ours is outpatient. The patient would walk in the morning and leave that afternoon, which is a critical savings to the healthcare system, and it's much desired by the patient. It's not a surgical treatment. They're able to walk in and leave in the same day.
And it's supposed to be a one-time treatment?
It's a one-time treatment. Again, what we're doing is we're fixing the mechanical valve, the failure between the esophagus and the stomach to maintain that pressure gradient.
So it's an outpatient procedure. So what does this replace? You said that there previously used to be where you have to go in, it's an inpatient, you're there for a couple days. So what exactly is your device helping to replace?
Right. It's actually more additive. I wouldn't consider it dilutive. This is more additive to this patient experience. It falls into a treatment gap. These are currently patients who don't have a solution. They don't want surgery. They're looking for something less invasive, minimally invasive. So we're offering an alternative to these patients. So these are patients that are not treated well pharmacologically with medical treatment, and they don't want surgery. So this is the treatment gap right in between those two extremes.
And okay, so I'm curious about where the company's at in the approval process, both in the U.S. and abroad.
Right, and that's a critical element in the healthcare life science field, specifically in medical device. It's that regulatory path. Ours is very clean. We have a FDA approval, we have a CE mark in Europe, and we are available for sale within those markets currently. The second big activity related to the whole compliance side is reimbursement. It's the economic path, and how do you prove the economics actually make sense to the payer, to the hospital, and to the patient. And the great news from Medigus is that we've currently received what's called a Category 1 payment through the Medicare system starting January 1st, where we'll have payment for these procedures.
So what's the sales and distribution process right now? Do you go direct to the hospitals, or are you going to different physicians?
And that's where we are right now, is we're at the scaling activity. We're going from a clinical company to a commercial one. I've already put 5 people in the field. They're trained, they know the business, they know the physicians, they understand what we call therapeutic endoscopy. That's who's performing the procedure. And we're beginning the scaling process right now. So in the US, we're direct. In Germany, we're direct. And in Italy, we'll be working through a hybrid model using distributors. So it's a very focused model right now, really on gaining that scalability within these critical markets.
And also, what's your background? How did you get into Medigus? You said it a little bit at the beginning, but I got to know more. There must have been something else that happened.
As always the case. I've spent a career, 25 years, in minimally invasive medicine. Really, the highlight of my career was Boston Scientific. I spent 17 years there in many different jobs in many different geographies. When I left Boston Scientific in 2006, I realized that I liked the startup environment. I loved the energy. And I went to a company called Given Imaging. We just sold Given Imaging to Covidien for about $1 billion. And then I jumped over into the startup world, and I was managing an obesity company before I was asked to take a look at Medigus. And when I saw Medigus, I was like, this is it. This is the one. And that just happened about 3 years ago.
And so we're heading towards the end of, we're at the end of 2015, going into 2016. From what you can tell me, what are some of the milestones that the company is hoping to achieve in the new year?
Absolutely, and it's all about scalability. And I measure success by procedures, and I look at procedures as the adoption process, a physician saying, yep, I'm in, I like it, it's good. 2014, we had 8 procedures in the entire year. This year, we'll have over 60. Next year, it's going to be in the several hundreds. So we're right now at that growth curve. We're really starting to see that scaling process take place. So if we're sitting here this time next year, and I've told you that we've done a couple hundred procedures, I'll be like, all right, I'm in. We've had a great year.
And where can our audience go and find more information about Medigus?
Thank you. Yes, Medigus, MDGS. We're traded on the TASE and the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, as well as on the NASDAQ. Medigus.com is the website.
And that's MEDIGUS.com. My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're here at the LD Micro Main Event 2015 in Bel Air, California. With me again is Chris Rowland from Medigus, the symbol MDGS. Thank you so much for coming on to SNNLive.
Appreciate the time.